Two families, two disappearances. No bodies, no explanations. Tonight, we uncover two real cases where people vanished without a trace, and the truth is far stranger than you think. A boy walks out on a quiet street in Portland, spring morning, skateboard in hand. He waves at a neighbor. She waves back. 30 seconds later, gone. Nothing around. No cars. No strangers. Just silence. Police arrive, map the street, note the sun angle, the scratch on his helmet, every little detail. But no trace. Jason is gone. Later, they realize he wasn't the first. It starts to make sense, slowly. The empty streets, the sudden disappearances, the way the world seems to swallow someone whole, leaving only questions. And the more you think about it, the colder it feels. The wind brushes the leaves along Maple Street, a soft rustling that somehow feels like a warning. The neighbor remembers the blue of his skateboard, the way sunlight bounced off his helmet. She remembers the moment she turned away, for a heartbeat, and then he was gone. Every time she passes that street, she shivers, because that silence isn't empty. It's alive, watching. A year before, in North Carolina, Cedar Grove Summer Camp, Asheville, Kira, 10 years old, bright-eyed, excited for canoe trips, campfire stories, the laughter of children echoing through the pines. July 8th, she's gone. Her parents call. Staff answer. Rehearsed, 2 perfect answers. We've checked the trails. The riverbanks were inspected. But something in their voices, something in the pauses, tells you they're hiding more than they know. Her room at home, untouched, toys in place, backpack still on the chair. Her aunt flips through notebooks, timestamps, call logs, every detail meticulously documented, hoping for a clue. Nothing, just silence. You can almost feel her frustration, her hands trembling, pencil scratching over paper. The hopelessness in the neat lines of her notes. Each entry a question mark. Each timestamp a reminder that time is moving. But Kira isn't. And every night, passing her empty room, she prays, quietly, almost afraid to breathe, for a sign. But it never comes. Then Arizona, Tucson, 2019. Sam and Olivia, laughing in their backyard, talking about a hiking trail. Sunlight warm on the grass. Friends visiting. Small joys. The way Sam's hand brushes Olivia's as they move toward the gate. She smiles, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Everything ordinary. Everything safe. And then, next morning, house empty. Mail piled up. Lights off. Backpacks, journals, untouched. Investigators log every detail. Neighbors questioned. Surveillance reviewed. But nothing. Silence. A vacuum. It's almost impossible to imagine. Somewhere in Tucson, a retired investigator sits under a dim lamp, late at night. Coffee gone cold. Eyes scanning maps. Paper stacked high, threatening to topple. Fingers tracing lines on maps, plotting dots, 17 disappearances across the country, from Oregon to Arizona. A line emerges, straight, precise, connecting abandoned factories, warehouses, places most people drive past without a second thought. Old property records, unexplained fires, strange incidents, all coinciding with the dates of disappearances. And then it hits him. Something they all share. Always. Someone unseen. Never on camera. Never questioned. Never recorded. A shadow. A presence. Always there. Jason's story is just one piece of the puzzle. The neighbor can't sleep. Her dreams are haunted by glimpses. A movement in the corner of her eye. A shape she can't identify. A shadow that disappears when she looks directly. And she's not alone. Parents, friends, neighbors, investigators, they all notice the same thing. The absence of absence. the way something exists, just beyond perception. In Portland, the police are meticulous. Diagrams drawn, measurements taken. Every leaf, every stone, every line of sunlight. And yet, nothing. Hours stretch into days, days into weeks. And the line connecting Portland, Asheville, and Tucson is invisible until you start mapping it dot by dot, connecting the forgotten factories, the empty warehouses, the sites that seem unremarkable in daylight, but in shadow, they feel different, dangerous, important. There's something about abandoned places. The silence is different. It has texture. The air feels heavier. Cold drafts brush your neck even in summer. Windows shattered. Rusted metal creaks with the wind. You hear a faint, almost imperceptible sound. A whisper of movement. And yet, no one is there. But the records, the statements, the notes, they hint at it. Someone, something, always present. Meanwhile, in Tucson, the neighbors talk. Did you see anything? Nothing. I didn't even hear a car, but they remember small things. A feeling, a glance from a window. Shadows moving where shadows shouldn't be. Sam's backpack untouched. Olivia's journal, open to a page they swore they'd seen closed. Every detail recorded, and still, nothing. Jason's disappearance sparked nationwide awareness. Newspapers, blogs, social media posts. Theories, conspiracies, debates. But official channels remain silent, methodical. Case files grow, stacks of paper accumulating in basements and storage rooms. Investigators review CCTV footage frame by frame. Witnesses questioned again and again. And every time, they find nothing. And yet, the line continues. Oregon, North Carolina, Arizona. Abandoned sites, shadows, unseen presences. You start to wonder, how long has this been happening? How many others never recorded? The retired investigator traces it back decades, digging through blueprints, old newspapers, property archives, fires, disappearances, unexplained accidents. A calendar of incidents aligning too perfectly with recent events. Dates overlooked, forgotten, or dismissed as coincidence. But coincidence is a luxury. This line, it's deliberate, methodical. And Jason, he is not the first, nor will he be the last. The neighbor sometimes imagines him running along the edge of the street, out of sight, yet visible to some other presence. She shivers, dreams of watching him vanish in seconds. A child's laugh echoes in the memory, fading into silence. Meanwhile, in Arizona, the air is warm, the desert wide. The investigator pores over maps, finger tracing dots, thoughts turning over. Every site tells a story. Fires, factories, disappearances, a network, and always the unknown presence. Shadows that never show up on camera. People who vanish without trace. Pattern emerges. Something orchestrating, something beyond ordinary understanding. And then you realize the disappearances share another detail. Someone was always present, not recorded, not questioned, not even acknowledged. A ghost in the files. A presence in plain sight, always overlooked, always unaccounted for. Experts review the evidence. They cannot explain it, but they agree. Random is no longer possible. Orchestrated is the only word that fits. The story begins to close, but questions remain. Where is Jason? Where are Kira, Sam, Olivia? The reports are extensive. Witness statements, call logs, surveillance notes, all meticulous. And yet, the answer remains hidden. Somewhere, someone is disappearing tonight. Perhaps near a quiet street in Portland. Perhaps a summer camp in North Carolina. Perhaps a backyard in Arizona. The line continues, invisible to most, yet painfully obvious to those who look closely. And so you sit, listening, imagining the empty street, the untouched room, the silent backyard. You can feel the tension, the fear, the weight of the unknown. And you wonder, how long has this been happening? How many have disappeared without anyone ever noticing? And the scariest question of all, what is watching? Always present, just out of sight? Because the statements, the maps, the records, they are warnings, not stories. Warnings of something that doesn't end where one case closes. Because while Jason, Kira, Sam, and Olivia remain missing, the silence did not stop with them. It spread. And tonight, as you hear this, someone might vanish. Somewhere, someone is being erased without a trace. And the scariest part? These aren't isolated cases. They don't stop at one town or one family, because the same silence, the same vanishing, has appeared again. Montana, endless forests, quiet roads, skies so wide they swallow the horizon. A place where people go to escape, to find peace. But peace doesn't always last. A family of 3 checked into a cabin for the weekend. The father, Mark, the mother, Laura, and their teenage daughter, Emily. They weren't running from anything. No drama, no problems. Just a simple trip to breathe mountain air and unplug from the noise of the city. Friday night, they arrived, unpacked, laughed, sat by the fire while snow drifted softly outside. Neighbors remember smoke from the chimney, lights glowing warmly through the trees. A perfect scene. But by Saturday morning, the cabin was empty. Their car was still parked out front. Jackets still hung neatly by the door. Dishes from the night before sat on the counter. But the family? Gone. The sheriff's report describes it clearly. No forced entry. No footprints in the snow leading away from the cabin. No sign of a struggle. Beds unmade, as if they'd risen suddenly. Emily's backpack half unzipped. A book left open, face down on the sofa. 2 mugs still faintly smelling of cocoa by the fireplace. And one thing that didn't fit the dining chair tipped over on its side. Not broken, not smashed. Just fallen. Locals began whispering. They'd seen the cabin lights flicker late that night, but no one came or went. A delivery driver swore he heard laughter near the trees, but when he turned his head, nothing. Silence. The investigation deepened. Deputies searched the woods, combed the snow, checked every trail. Helicopters scanned the area. Dogs picked up faint scents that disappeared less than 50 yards from the cabin, as if the family had walked into the trees and simply dissolved. Laura's sister flew in from out of state. She walked through the cabin slowly, her hands trembling as she touched Emily's jacket, still hanging by the door. She paused at the book, still open where her niece had been reading. She whispered Emily's name, as if her voice alone might bring her back. Nothing answered. And then a detail emerged. Neighbors down the road mentioned seeing lights, not from the cabin, from deeper in the woods. A bluish glow, faint, unsteady, like lanterns, or maybe something else. The sheriff dismissed it at first, probably campers or hunters, but the land was private. No one was supposed to be there. And when deputies searched, they found nothing. No tents, no fire pits, no tire tracks, just silence. As the days passed, theories multiplied. Some said the family had staged their disappearance. Others whispered about wild animals, though there were no tracks, no signs of attack. And a few claimed the cabin was cursed. That decades ago, miners working in those mountains reported strange lights, strange sounds, people vanishing without a trace. Old legends, easy to dismiss. Until now. The retired investigator, the same one who noticed the line connecting Oregon, North Carolina, Arizona, he saw the Montana case in the news, and something made him pause. He pulled out his maps, his notebooks, his stack of old reports, and when he plotted the cabin's location, his hand froze. The line continued, straight through Montana, through the very mountains where Mark, Laura, and Emily disappeared. The abandoned sites again appeared. Old sawmills, empty warehouses, factories long since dissolved, and the cabin? Built on land that once belonged to the same defunct company tied to all the others. The coincidence too sharp, too exact. Late one night, he returned to the cabin himself. The snow was gone by then, melted into mud and pine needles. The cabin stood silent, windows dark. Inside, the air was cold, stale. He set his flashlight on the table and spread his notes out. And as he worked, he heard it. Faint, almost nothing. A creak on the stairs. Slow, deliberate. He raised the beam of light, but the staircase was empty. His breath caught. His pen slipped from his fingers. And then, silence again. Locals warned him not to stay after dark. They said hikers who lingered near the cabin often reported the same thing. A sound in the trees, footsteps that matched their own, shadows moving where no one stood. He dismissed it as nerves. But in his notes that night, his handwriting trembled. The final line he wrote simply read, "Someone else was here." Weeks turned into months. No bodies, no answers. Just another family added to the growing list. And yet, when you map it, when you follow the line, the pattern is undeniable. People don't just vanish. They vanish in specific places. Places connected by history, by industry, by a company long dissolved but never forgotten. And always, there is a presence. Witnesses mention it without realizing. A flicker in the corner of the eye. A figure glimpsed, then gone. Someone present, yet never recorded. Never interviewed. Never explained. The Montana cabin remains empty today. Locals avoid it. Travelers who rent nearby leave early, uneasy, unwilling to stay the night. And yet, the silence lingers. Heavy, watchful, waiting. And you start to ask yourself, if entire families can vanish overnight in a place so ordinary, so close to the road, so visible, what chance do the rest of us have? How long before the line extends further? How long before the silence spreads? Because what happened to Mark, Laura, and Emily isn't the end. It's just another dot on the map, another warning, another whisper that somewhere, someone is disappearing right now. And maybe the presence that took them is listening now. If this story gave you chills, make sure to subscribe. We'll explore more real disappearances and strange mysteries together. Stay safe and keep your eyes open.